Konoha Year 58 Ninja Academy. The winner, Neji Dai. The teacher's whistle declared the match over. Ryo clutched his chest and fell to the ground, his eyes filled with anger and disbelief as he stared at Neji. As a member of the Hyuga Central family, and 2 years older than Neji, Ryo had thought this would be a simple training match. Before the game, he even displayed the arrogance of the leading family, claiming he would give Neji some proper guidance, telling him to watch and learn. But to his shock, he lost to this branch family kid in front of everyone. Ryo was the one who needed guidance. Sorry, Ryo. Neji extended a hand to help Ryo, but it was immediately slapped away. Save it. You're just a mere branch family member. Where did you learn that technique you just used to defeat me? Why has no one in the main family ever taught it? Ryo had never seen such a technique before. It resembled the Hyuga family's gentle fist, but was different. Instead of being soft on the outside and strong on the inside, it released chakra from the acupoints to form lion-like fang-shard, fierce and mighty. When their fists collided, Ryo felt like his hands would break. He believed this was the only reason Neji could win. Seeing Ryo angry and humiliated, showing none of the demeanor of a leading family elder brother, Neji dropped his friendly facade. Since his father's forced suicide, he harbored no goodwill towards any leading family member. He calmly said, "That was gentle fist. Lion fang's a technique my brother Neki taught me. Neki. That Neki, one of Konoha's twin prodigies, is your brother." Ryo frowned. The twin prodigies of Konoha referred to the two current geniuses of the village, Nike, from the Hyuga Clan, and Uchiha Itachi, from the Uchiha Clan. Neki and Itai were born in the same year, graduated from the Ninja Academy in the same year, and even passed the Chunin exam in the same year. They were seen as the pride of their respective clans, representing the competition between the Hyuga and Uchiha clans' younger generations in Konoha. They were each other's only rivals when they entered the Ninja Academy. While others were still struggling with clone techniques and worried about graduation, these two had already mastered advanced ninjutsu and graduated early, leaving their peers far behind. Because of their exceptional talents and unique backgrounds, every match between them attracted significant attention and extra meaning. The third Hokage, Sarutobi Hiruzen, coined the term twin prodigies of Konoha after witnessing their brilliant performances in the Chunin exam. Since then, the name has spread throughout Konoha. Yes. Neji lifted his head slightly, a hint of pride showing when talking about Neki. Neki's rise might not be the Hyuga clan's pride, but it certainly was the pride of the Hyuga branch family. Neji's dream was to become an excellent ninja, like his brother Neki. In his view, the more outstanding they were, the more it proved the failure of the Hyuga clan's caged bird system, and showed that the central family, which had lost its sense of crisis, was the real caged bird, unwilling to improve. So Neki is actually from the Hyuga branch family. The surrounding Ninja Academy teachers whispered surprise. Neki, one of Konoha's twin prodigies, was well known in Konoha. Due to his outstanding skills and excellent reputation, many assumed Neki was from the Hyuga Central family, believing he had received the family's resources and special attention as a new generation leader. Ryo's face turned ugly. Unlike outsiders, he knew Neki's branch family background well. Therefore, he never felt proud of Neki's achievements. Like all prominent family members, they felt deeply humiliated. The glory of the twin prodigies of Konoha and the new generation leader of the Hyuga clan. These honors belonged to these lowly branch family members. Even towards the one who first spread the term, twin prodigies of Konoha, the third Hokage, Sarutobi Hiruzen's prominent family members harbored malicious speculations. Sarutobi Hiruzen and Shimura Danzo, the two old men in charge, had always been proponents of the decentralization policy, fearing that the interests of Konoha's large clans might affect the village's operations. From relocating the Uchiha clan to the village's outskirts to promoting more civilian ninjas to essential positions and limiting the clan members' apprenticeship with legendary Sannin and other key figures, Konoha's leadership had never wavered in their strategy to limit the clan's influence. Similarly, the Hyuga central family saw Naki's rise as another attempt by ambitious Konoha leaders to weaken the Hyuga clan. Even the Hyuga clan leader Hayashi had expressed dissatisfaction with Sarutobi Hiruzen during internal clan meetings, feeling that naming Nike as one of the twin prodigies was meddling in the Hyuga clan's internal affairs, deliberately sowing discord between the primary and branch family. So this technique was created by Naki. Seeing Neji nod, Ryo's ugly expression gradually returned to calm, and a slight smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Neji was puzzled. The two made the seal of reconciliation. Next up is Lee versus 10-10. Medium te. Nimawile. At Domanat Imajuar. 9 July. After school, Neji was surrounded by a group of people on his way home, and then taken to a secluded forest path. Ryo, what do you want? Neji frowned at Ryo, whose 5 branch family attendants had already quietly blocked all his escape routes. What do I want? At the Ninja Academy I lost because of your sudden attack. This time I want to have a serious match with you, Ryo explained calmly. I see. Neji glanced at the 5 others nearby, clenching his fists. These lackeys. You don't need them to make a move. Ryo smiled, waving them back. Stand back a bit. They left enough space for the two to fight. Come on. Ryo beckoned with his finger. Neji was stunned, and suddenly felt a bit of goodwill towards Ryo. Although he brought people, he didn't use them to bully. If it's just because he's unwilling to lose, that's nothing. Neji didn't think he would lose again. Gentle fist, lion fangs. Chakra gathered into 2 ghostly blue fangs, and Neji assumed the stance. Then, like a hunting lion, he charged at Ryo. Faced with the technique that had defeated him earlier, Ryo not only didn't show fear, but also smirked. He raised his hand high, and then brought it down sharply. The next second, dot-eyed. Ah! Neji suddenly screamed and fell to the ground. A blue pattern glowed on his forehead. Even the headband couldn't cover it. It was the caged bird seal. The pattern spread from his forehead to his cheeks, eyes, and finally to his entire brain. Neji's vision went dark and his face twisted in agony. It felt like a steel knife was slicing through the flesh on his face inch by inch. The pain was unbearable, the itch excruciating, making him want to gouge out his own eyes. The surrounding branch family members watched indifferently. Ryo stepped on Neji's head, his smile as frivolous as if he were stepping on a rat. The caged bird is a curse mark passed down for thousands of years in the Hyuga clan. Not only can it automatically destroy the brain and eyes of the person bearing it upon their death, but it can also be activated by a secret command for punishment. Neji, listen up. I, Hyuga, am different from you, Hyuga. Don't think you can act arrogantly in front of me just because you have a brother who's one of the twin prodigies. For a ninja, the most important thing is where you were born. As long as I have the secret command, even your brother Naki would have to kneel before me. Become a patron to read chapters ahead of public release and support me read up to 40 chapters ahead on Patreon. Will you come with me? Naki asked. No. Neji shook his head firmly. Taking a few days off is already too much. If I miss more classes, my teachers will be upset. Besides, your missions must be really difficult. I haven't even graduated from the Ninja Academy yet. I'd only be a burden to you, Neji added. Naki nodded thoughtfully. Yes, you need to get stronger quickly. Not to help me, but to help yourself, Naki thought. Otherwise, you might be unable to withstand the hatred of many people around you. Of course, he wouldn't delve into why that hatred would be directed at Neji, even though he was the cause. Seeing Naki was still responding, Neji couldn't help but ask, brother, were you just joking? Even if I could help you, what kind of mission would involve unrelated family members? Wouldn't wasting ninja resources like that get you in trouble with the Hokage? Neji said. Naki chuckled. You've already refused. Why are you asking so many questions? Just eat. Brother, you're so suspicious. Everyone has their path to walk. It wasn't until a few days later, when harsh reality struck like a meteor, shattering all perceptions and fantasies about his brother, that Neji realized the choice Naiki had casually offered at the dinner table had already set the course for his entire life. After refusing, it was quickly brushed off as a joke. The detachment was swift and clean, like a stone tossed into a lake, leaving no trace, except for a few fleeting ripples that testified there had been a moment when Neji felt he was finally close to the real Naiki. What kind of answer was his brother expecting? Or was it just a meaningless joke left for his future self? Naiki had done this countless times, so much so that when Neji looked back after the incident, he realized that all their interactions were filled with deliberate traces left by Naiki. That wasn't meant for you now. You'll understand later. Such vague statements were countless. Naiki's tone was always light, so Neji never took them seriously. Since he would understand later, he thought he would deal with it when later came. However, Neji realized he had never truly understood Naiki until the day finally arrived. Despite living together daily, there was always a fog between them. The closest he ever got to understanding his brother was those few days before the incident, when Naiki asked, "Will you come with me?" Did that choice ever really exist? Would it have been another illusion created by Naiki's playful tone, where Neji, full of hope, accepted his brother's invitation only to find the grand stage was a trap, with Naiki standing on the shore, laughing as Neji struggled in the mud? This could have happened if Neji had said yes. Naiki's character was always so vile. He liked manipulating everyone and enjoyed seeing hope crushed in their eyes. After the incident, this was the only thing Neji could honestly believe about his brother. "Will you come with me?" Since it was all hypothetical, why not be more daring? Future Neji often thought back to this night, imagining what might have happened if he had said yes. Was there a possible life path that would unfold if he had nodded when Naiki casually asked? Would saying yes reveal the true Naiki behind the mask? What would that look like? He didn't know. He would never know. For the present Neji, this was just another ordinary night, one of countless uneventful days in the future. The moon was round, there were many mosquitoes, the food was delicious, and Hanabi was clumsy. That was all. Like a joke or a test, the brief conversation that future Neji would think about countless times was brushed off lightly. All opinions were exchanged unintentionally. It wasn't fair. But that's life. Naiki, being dismissed by his brother, didn't mind. He continued eating, while Hanabi, sitting beside him on a small chair, looked at him with bright eyes. "What? Do you want to come with me?" Naiki patted her head. The girl was shy but mustered the courage to say, "I'll work hard to get stronger. I won't be a burden to you." Both brothers were surprised to see Hanabi's determination. "You want to go?" Neji asked again. Hanabi nodded vigorously. The room fell silent. The girl's affection was puzzling. Anyone would think she had known Naiki for months. Under Neji's suspicious gaze, Naiki took a bite of chicken and pondered. "Hey brother, you're not serious, right?" Neji saw him deep in thought and reminded him, "Don't forget who she is. A noble member of the leading family couldn't just go on a mission with you. That's absurd." "What kind of mission needs you to take a kid?" Neji asked. Huh. Naiki snapped out of it, frowning. "No, I was thinking if the chicken had too much salt." "Ah." Neji shook his head. Brother was always like this. He could never figure out what Naiki was thinking. Not understanding that this was a refusal, Hanabi looked at Naiki expectantly. "Hanabi, well, go back to the main house tonight," Naiki said casually. Hanabi hesitated. She was scared to return to that home, but it was not a question. Under Naiki's calm gaze, she nodded slightly. After dinner, Naiki took Hanabi back to the main house. The giant Byakugan illusion hovered above the estate, as tranquil as ever. Newly planted trees lined the courtyard, and several servants stood guard at the entrance. Even as Naiki led Hanabi in, they remained expressionless, only their necks moving to follow their steps. "Good evening, Sister on PT." Sister Ren d'adieu. Hanabi greeted everyone softly clinging to Nike. Sorry I haven't been home these past few days. Hanabi seemed to be explaining to the servants at the door, although they showed no reaction. This was a sign that their consciousness was fading. If not for the impending clan meeting, Nike would have replaced them with others to maintain the facade of a noble estate. Hanabi lowered her head, saying, Mother has been looking for me. I'm sorry. Wait. Due to the Kokanaru reflection technique, the things the affected saw would be perceived as what they believed to be the way things should be. The variable determining the illusion was the affected person. Unless Nike actively shaped the illusion, he couldn't know what Hanabi was seeing. The silent servants might have appeared to Hanabi as malicious underlings. Nike watched with interest. Interesting. Does she see everyone hating her as the norm? Brother Mother is very angry. Can you come with me? Hanabi clung to Neji's sleeve. Hanabi didn't know why she ended up in Neji's room, but never asked. She had confirmed from Neji that Nike had rescued her, so she trusted him completely. Nike nodded and led her to a dilapidated room. At least it looked that way to him. But to Hanabi it was a clean place where she carefully removed her shoes to avoid dirt in the floor. Nike watched her white socks leave small footprints in the dirt, then knelt before a half-decomposed corpse. Mother, I'm sorry for worrying you, she said. The illusion operated on an absurd logic created by Nike. He felt a strange emotion. The corpse was indeed Hanabi's mother, pierced by Neki's sword. But how had she been dug up after being buried? Nike turned and saw 7-year-old Hinata standing in the courtyard, dressed in tattered clothes, her left eye bandaged. She held a leaking bucket, having just fetched water. Hinata set the bucket down hesitantly, reached out and asked softly, Are you Nike, brother? Problem solved. Nike realized the girl was about to break free from the illusion. She had arrived at just the right time. Yes, it's me, Hinata, he said, approaching and gently touching her injured eye. The bandage didn't hide anything from his Byakugan. Hiyashi, despite his broken hands, had transplanted his own Byakugan into his daughter's eye. She would use him if her eyes couldn't see through the illusion. Creative. This was feasible in Naruto, where eyes could be swapped. But luck was not on their side. Nike felt a bit sorry for Hayashi's plan. Breaking the illusion would mean seeing reality as it was and escaping the fake main house. Hinata could have exposed Nike's plans and saved the Hyuga Clan. What a pity. Hearing Nike's gentle words, Hinata hesitated. She didn't think the man in front of her was terrible, but she stepped back, fearing her actions might hurt his feelings. Father said you're a bad person. Speaking ill behind someone's back, how annoying. Nike thought momentarily, then used the transformation jutsu to become Neji. Hinata finally felt safe. Seeing through the illusion with her left eye must have mixed reality and illusion. Despite seeing Nike transform, she didn't find it odd. Both eyes reflected Neji's face, merging truth and illusion. Hinata burst into tears, clinging to Nike, feeling she had found someone trustworthy. Neji, brother. She stammered. Don't worry, I'll protect you, Nike said, stroking her back. Hanabi was still whispering to her mother. Nike carried Hinata to the hall, where Hayashi was imprisoned, eager to see the clan head's reaction. Before entering, Nike had Hinata hide at the door. He coughed intentionally before entering. The decaying smell hit him. The place was even more shabby, with few servants under the illusion of maintaining the garden. The main house's grand appearance took all remaining effort, leaving the interior to rot. What do you want now? Though Nike looked like Neji, Hayashi recognized him immediately. Everyone's dead. You killed them all. What do you want? Hayashi's voice was bitter. The tragedy lay in the fact that any Hyuga, returning from missions or visiting Hayashi, no matter what he said or did, would always interpret it as find Nike and return with him. Hayashi had immense respect from the clan. His word was law, so they obeyed like sheep following orders into a wolf's den, even if puzzled. Hiyashi indirectly caused many deaths. Big plans are coming. I've been restless, so I came to chat, Nikki said casually. I posted the clan meeting notice. Some might not take it seriously, so we'll send another tonight. By the way, I contacted the 3 elders you told me about. 2 will definitely come. 1 is delayed, but will try to arrive. Your information is accurate, Nike nodded, looking at Hayashi. Hyuga members weren't the only visitors. Some couldn't be turned away, so Nike didn't always kill them. They came and left as they arrived. Though Hiyashi couldn't see them off, it wasn't a big issue. To deal with these unavoidable guests, Nike didn't take Hayashi's eyes, but sealed his chakra points, effectively keeping up appearances without issues. He hadn't expected Hayashi to transplant his own Bikugan into Hinata, helping her see through the illusion. Keep your promises, Hiyashi, said, eyes closed. Of course, I'll keep my promises, Naki said dismissively, calling Hinata in with a cold smile. But only if you do the same. Clan leader, your little trick was exposed. Pay a bit more. You seem to have nothing left. But being a prestigious clan, maybe I'm not creative enough. Let's see if you can scrape up something more to save your daughter's life. Hiyashi needed more courage to sacrifice himself, especially when Neji still needed him alive to lure more members of the Hyuga clan. With this crucial captive, even with the caged bird seal, Neji's efficiency in hunting would significantly increase, and the risk of exposure would increase, making his plan to eradicate the clan seem distant and achievable. Thus, even if Hiyashi wanted to die, Neji wouldn't let him go. The hinge mechanism from the torture department was designed from the start to leave no room for prisoners to commit suicide. After sealing the chakra points, even a Kage-level strongman could only die with regret. However, while Hiyashi didn't care about his own life, he did care about others. From the moment he handed over information about some elders not in Konoha in exchange for his daughter Hinata, he lost any capital to continue resisting in front of Neji. Retreat a step, then retreat every step in the days leading up to Neji's defection from Konoha. He squeezed Hiyashi dry, blood and bone together, which was the fate the Hyuga clan leader had to face. For instance, right now everyone knows the eye exchange between him and his daughter Hinata was just a pretext Neji used to extort him. If it weren't this, it would be something else. But Hayashi couldn't argue, his backbone was broken. He could only let Neji take whatever he wanted, hoping he might show some mercy to his daughter Hinata. Hinata walked in with small steps, buried her face in Neji's arms, and then peeked through the gap at the disheveled man at the desk. Don't you recognize him? Neji didn't react for a moment. My father was sitting there before. He told me many things, told me to endure the pain I did. And then, my father disappeared. Hinata didn't continue, but her meaning was clear. Hiyashi watched Hinata run towards Neji, the culprit behind everything, feeling immense bitterness. After Hinata exchanged one of her eyes and saw through the illusion, she immediately ran away from him. She couldn't connect the elegant father in the illusion with reality. By this time, Neji had tortured Hayashi beyond recognition, so not recognizing him was understandable. Moreover, not recognizing him was fine as long as she remembered what he told her before the eye exchange: Jado, dig out her mother's corpse and place it in a prominent position in the courtyard, even if she couldn't escape the illusion. However, looking at his daughter snuggling in the enemy's arms, he shook his head. Hiyashi knew his daughter had been living poorly within the clan recently. No one cooked for or bathed her, and she was suffering an unprecedented disaster for a lady who had been pampered since childhood and was as pure as a blank sheet of paper. Maybe because of this, her spiritual sense remained longer in the illusion than others, so Hayashi chose her over other members like Hanabi. But his last effort to save the clan failed in an unexpected place. Hinata, the eldest daughter of the leading family, ultimately had no talent or ability. After a long silence, Hayashi sighed. Alas, after all, she was of the leading family bloodline, talentless or not. There was no need to talk about revenge. She could live a peaceful life. The Hyuga clan would have a chance to prosper again in the future. Hiyashi looked directly at Neji. This time, he didn't resist anymore, didn't utter a harsh word, and simply admitted defeat. Since you want ransom money, I'll give it all to you. On the left wall of my study, there is a secret room. To prevent Byakugan from detecting it, the secret room needs a summoning seal. The sequence is Tiger Ox Boar. Inside there are 3 compartments, and a lot of gold and silver. You can take them all. Unlike the shops and forests which were public property of the Hyuga clan, the treasure in the secret room was the private wealth of the clan leader's line. As a rogue ninja, Neji needed such a windfall. He couldn't afford to be penniless, or he'd have to resort to constant robbery, which was too low level and unsustainable. All right. Neji nodded indifferently, signaling him to continue. In the second compartment are some summoning scrolls containing many ninja tools and emergency supplies. These should be the resources left for survivors in a clan extinction crisis. Unfortunately, the Hyuga ancestors who prepared beforehand couldn't have foreseen that the most significant crisis would come from within the clan. Neji lazily said these things aren't enough to spare her life. Hinata for the first time showed hesitation. She could hear the conversation between the two, sensing something was off. What is brother Neji talking about? What things? Whose life is being exchanged? I know, don't worry. Hiyashi paused, looked at Neji meaningfully, then calmly said in the third compartment, there are over a dozen Byakugan passed down by Hyuga ancestors. Neji's eyes widened. The branch family's Byakugan would be destroyed the moment the owner died, meaning those Byakugan were all passed down by deceased prominent family members. Over a dozen of them. Your clan leader's line had such reserves. How could I have progressed so slowly if I had known earlier? You knew I was collecting Byakugan, why didn't you give them up sooner? Neji gritted his teeth. If he hadn't come back by chance, wouldn't all those Byakugan essences have remained buried underground? At this thought, Neji felt incredibly fortunate. Hiyashi, this man still had potential, but you only know his limits once you push him. I don't know what you plan to do with so many Byakugan, but now that I told you can, you spare a few lives. Hiyashi said, a hint of pleading in his eyes. Neji thought that a dozen high-purity central family Byakugan, even with the loss of life force from being stored too long, should provide him with at least a large portion of Byakugan essence. Next week's clan annihilation plan doesn't need to wipe out the remaining Hyuga members completely. No. Just as the thought of mercy arose, Neji completely suppressed it. Since the decision was made, it had to be thorough. Becoming a rogue ninja meant he might never return to Konoha. Now, with so many Byakugan essences within reach, he had to consider this might be his only chance in life. Neji had a faint hunch, and even if his eyes advanced to the final stage, the Byakugan essences would still be beneficial. I can spare her. Neji patted Hinata's head. The latter still needed clarification. Hiyashi nodded. This answer didn't surprise him. Greedy was the Neji he knew these days. Hiyashi had dedicated his entire life to studying Byakugan and Gentle Fist. No one in ninja as the whole world could surpass him in these two aspects. Neji gained a lot after listening to Hayashi's lifelong insights and reflections. Using the Byakugan's ability to see through everything, Hayashi proposed 2 principles: summarize the present, describe the future. This resulted from the continuous refinement and innovation of the Hyuga clan's millennia-long heritage. Although specific techniques and methods hadn't been created, yet they had already pointed the way for the future evolution of the Hyuga clan. It might take 2 or 3 generations before a Hyuga member could stand on the shoulders of their ancestors, and using this as a starting point develop new Gentle Fist techniques, or even entirely different combat style. Like Hayashi, his chakra points were sealed, making it impossible to release them. However, he used the gaps left by his broken hands and shifted chakra points to release some chakra threads. This tiny amount of chakra couldn't help him cut the chains on his body, but could precisely and quickly remove Hinata's and his own eyes. Wasn't this a new use of Gentle Fist created by accurately summarizing his present situation? Though it had limited use. Neji stroked his chin, feeling that these two principles strangely matched the abilities he unlocked after advancing his Byakugan. In a way, insight, analysis, and even replication could be considered ways to summarize the present. Could he use these abilities to forge a future? Insight and analysis were easier to understand. The former could help Neji predict combat trajectories and find the weakest point in his opponent's actions to break through. The latter could help Neji master and develop different ninjutsu, somewhat aligning with the principle of describing the future. But what about replication? Creating something from nothing and learning from one to infer many things sounded cool, but the chakra consumption was too exaggerated. Neji didn't quite believe that chakra alone could replicate everything. Perhaps it was because Neji acquired the replication ability too early and needed to study and develop it deeply. This ability only had the present, not the future. Actually, Hanabi isn't dead. I broke my promise at the time and didn't kill her. Neji said this would be their last meeting before the clan assembly, and Hayashi generously shared the Hyuga clan's core heritage. Hayashi was stunned, then slowly nodded, "Thank you." Neji picked up the unconscious Hinata, ready to leave, when Hayashi's voice suddenly came from behind. "Hanabi is very talented. I once considered abandoning Hinata and grooming Hanabi as the future clan leader. If you manage to kill all the Hyuga in a few days, take her with you. She would make a good subordinate." Neji turned around, surprised. "Do you know how precarious the life of a rogue ninja is, and you still dare to let your daughter go with me?" "I understand one truth, don't put all your eggs in one basket," Hayashi calmly said. "Do you know why I must annihilate the Hyuga?" Neji shook his head, thinking the older man was losing it. "Aren't you afraid he'll gouge out her eyes?" "I believe she can bring you far more value than a pair of Byakugan," Hayashi replied. This reason was very tenuous. Neji slowly figured it out. He thought for a moment and asked, "Who are you wary of in Konoha?" "Danzo Uchiha." "Surely not the third Hokage. You'd rather trust me to kill her than your colleagues in Konoha." Hayashi was silent for a moment, then slowly said, "Your father Hazasha's death was actually. It was Konoha's way of giving the Hyuga clan a hard time, I know." Neji waved his hand, not letting him continue with the old grievances. Hayashi pursed his lips, not correcting Neji's mistake of saying your Hyuga clan instead of our Hyuga clan. He forcefully shook his head to drive away the insects crawling into his empty eye sockets and continued, "You're smart, so you should understand the basis of my request for you to do this last thing. If the Hyuga clan could maintain half its strength, I could trust my colleagues in Konoha and let Hanabi stay in the village. But the possibility of the Hyuga clan retaining its strength after the clan assembly is very slim. Among the survivors you plan for the Hyuga clan, there are probably only 2 juniors' places. One of them is your brother, but he is protected by the caged bird. So in the eyes of my colleagues, the only real target worth attacking is Hinata. Having just one is fine. Most people wouldn't want to see something completely eradicated. Having one more Hanabi would make things worse." Neji nodded slightly. He hadn't expected that casually mentioning Hanabi's survival would prompt the old clan leader to make arrangements and list so many seemingly reasonable reasons. "And in my view, their chances of survival and continuing the Hyuga legacy are less than yours, which is why I hope you can take Hanabi away," Hayashi continued. Entrusting his daughter to a killer, making her an accomplice, was not a decision a father could make. Still, as the Hyuga clan leader, it was the best solution to ensure the clan's continuity under dire circumstances. Essentially, it was no different from passing on the clan's core heritage to Neji. Passing on the Hyuga legacy was about teaching, letting Neji take Hanabi. It was about passing on people. "Well, see," Neji said non-committally, carrying Hinata out of the room. At the study entrance where Hayashi mentioned the secret compartments, a figure approached from not far away. Ko was cleaning up the paint spill. "I'm just tidying up." Hanabi's voice came from behind. "Bandage her eye," Neji said, handing the unconscious Hinata to Hanabi. Then he walked into the study himself. On the left wall is a secret room requiring summoning. Finding a dark wall with an apparent mysterious aura on the left side, Neji bit his finger and was about to perform the summoning technique according to Hayashi's instructions when he suddenly stopped. Neji stared at the dark wall with an uncertain expression, then used the shadow clone technique, letting the clone stand before the wall while he retreated outside the study. Although Hayashi seemed like a dying man speaking kindly and giving Neji various instructions and requests, who knew if it was his final act to trap Neji? After all, Neji was about to annihilate the Hyuga clan. If killing Neji would solve all the Hyuga clan's crises, wouldn't Hayashi compromise with Neji because he saw little hope for their side? Using the clone to observe the symbols on the wall and confirming it was just a regular summoning technique, Neji nodded slightly. The clone took blood from Neji's finger, performed the hand seals, and summoned. Boom! With a loud rumble, the dark wall started to rotate, revealing a narrow secret room. Neji's breath almost stopped when the clone came out holding 12 pairs of Baikugan. He glanced at the small text on his retina. Essence collected 7. One then eagerly grasped the Baikugan. After a while, Neji opened his eyes. The Baikugan in his hand had turned to dust. Essence collected 59. 6. The moonlight lingered long, circling the clear pond all night. Let's go home. Okay. Hearing Neji's voice, Hanabi's anxious heart instantly calmed down. She ran and placed her hand in Neji's palm. I thought you had gone back, she said, sniffling. It was already early morning. She wore thin clothes and was shivering from the cold. No, but do you want to see your sister Hinata? She just woke up. No, I want to go home now. The home Hanabi referred to was not the eerie clan mansion they were in, but Neji's tiny house. Neji stroked his chin, looking at Hanabi beside him. Strange, could the Hell's Abyss jutsu significantly affect a child's mind? Or what had she experienced in the illusion? Why else would she cling to me, a stranger? He touched his face. Could this child be a hardcore face-lover? Remembering Hayashi's earlier request to take Hanabi away, Neji nodded slightly. If he could easily handle the Konoha pursuit squad taking her along during his defection, wouldn't be impossible. After all, Hanabi had high-purity Baikugan, and being from the same clan, she was suitable for cultivation, whether as a henchman, a test subject, or a humanoid Baikugan reserve. Do you think I'm handsome? Handsome? Hanabi shouted. The following day, Hanabi developed a high fever. Neji had his brother Neji take care of her while he performed his daily route mission of monitoring the Uchiha. A bird flew across the sky and landed lightly on the mountain's edge, its orange claws stirring the dust below. It landed on the massive Hokage Rock. Overlooking the entire Konoha village from the Hokage Rock, the streets crisscrossed like a net, shops on both sides, bustling with business leaves, cutting the sunlight into fragments, and people strolling in the shade. Lowering his gaze, a tall, cylindrical scarlet building stood at the foot of the mountain like a large drum. That was the Hokage Tower, the pinnacle of power in Konoha, where countless Konoha ninjas aspired to be. But even the Hokage couldn't act alone often, and would feel extremely troubled by situations beyond his control in the village, such as now in the closed-door Hokage's office. No prominent clan leaders, Ambu recordings, or guards were at the door. Only the third Hokage, Saratobi Hiruzen, 2 senior advisors, Omura Mitokado and Koharu Utatene, and the nominal Hokage advisor, but the head of Root Danzo Shimura. The 4 top powers of Konoha gathered. This was a meeting to decide the ultimate fate of the Uchiha clan, plotting rebellion. Of course, due to the 4 often having differing opinions on this issue, similar meetings had been held at Danzo's request more than 10 times, but they have yet to reach a final consensus. Fortunately, the Uchiha clan's movements became more apparent each time, and each meeting progressed more than the last. I think it's time to make a decision, Homura said calmly. What decision? The third Hokage, Saratobi Hiruzen, puffed on his pipe, lifting his eyelids at the words. The decision to preemptively destroy the Uchiha had been delayed because he, the highest authority in Konoha, hadn't agreed. Take the initiative and nip the Uchiha rebellion in the bud, Koharu added quickly. Takezawa Minoru is dead, that's a signal. He must have discovered the Uchiha's rebellion plan and was killed. We don't have direct evidence that Minoru was killed by the Uchiha. And I sent him to investigate the Takuma case. How could he have stumbled upon the Uchiha's plan? It doesn't make sense. The third shook the ash from his pipe and shook his head. You're too stubborn, Sarutobi. The autopsy report makes it clear. Do you need the corpse brought to you to admit it? Danzo frowned. On this issue it was always 3 against 1. Forging such things isn't difficult, the third said flatly. I suspect someone is deliberately creating conflict between us and the Uchiha. Whether it's true or not, we can use it to force the Uchiha to hand over the killer, Homura suggested after some thought. It's just a probe. If they refuse, we can strike immediately. You're deliberately creating tension. Even if they weren't planning to rebel, you'd push them to it. If they weren't planning to rebel from the start, how could they be pushed to it? Homura retorted. Smoke rose from his nostrils as the third pondered for a moment, then shook his head. War will only lead to mutual destruction. This isn't a decision to be made lightly. We need to wait and see. Decisive action minimizes losses. Besides, we didn't choose war, the Uchiha instigated it. Koharu's voice was cold. From Madara onwards, the Uchiha clan has never been at peace. It's their clan's inherent flaw. If it doesn't erupt today, it will tomorrow. We might as well take this opportunity to eliminate this hidden threat to Konoha, Homura said. They've made significant contributions in previous ninja wars. The third still wanted to give the Uchiha a chance. Wait and see. What are you waiting for? Danzo asked bluntly with no intention of persuasion. Wait for the outcome. I've ordered Itachi to try to stop the Uchiha's internal rebellion. Even if he fails, we'll be the first to know about the Uchiha's decision to rebel, and can respond appropriately, the third slowly explained. The informant. Danzo turned a strange expression on his face. Is the reason you're hesitating to eradicate the Uchiha? The clan leader's eldest son, Uchiha Itachi, voluntarily informed them of the Uchiha's rebellion. I have to say, Sarutobi, you're really old. You're placing Konoha's entire safety on one person. What if he's pretending? Do you know what kind of outcome we'll face? Danzo asked. Pretending doesn't affect our preparations. But if he succeeds, we can avoid mutual destruction. The third spoke earnestly. Mutual destruction. Are the Uchiha really that important and indispensable? Koharu couldn't help but interject. We have the Hyuga clan, the Sarutobi clan, the Nara, Yamanaka, and Uzuka, so many clans. Must we take such a risk for the Uchiha? You know there are many clans watching. If we act rashly against the Uchiha, it'd make these clans suspicious. Sarutobi shook his head. Let's wait a little longer. The discussion hit a deadlock again. The three and Sarutobi had significant differences. But there was no choice. Sarutobi was the ultimate decision-maker. Without his agreement, the situation remained stagnant. Starting with Danzo leaving first, the four parted ways in displeasure. Sitting in the Hokage's seat, the third felt especially weary. Bring Itachi to see me. He called for Ambu. The young man had sword-like brows and starry eyes. The tear troughs extending from his nose made him look somewhat gloomy, no matter his expression. His straight black hair hung on both sides, and he knelt on one knee, fist pressed to the ground, his Ambu mask hanging at his side, and a standard short blade strapped to his back. Under his dark gray-brown tactical vest, a red and white fan pattern was visible, the emblem of the prestigious Uchiha clan of Konoha. Hokage-sama, you called for me. Itachi said, his eyes lowered, staring at the floor. Takezawa Minoru is dead. He used to be your subordinate. The third Hokage, Sarutobi Hiruzen, stood with his back to Itachi, looking out at Konoha streets. Smoke from his pipe drifted through the window cracks and rose to the ceiling. Some say he was killed because he stumbled upon the Hyuga Clan's conspiracy. What do you think? I don't know. Hearing this answer, the third turned to face the young man. His expression was a mix of disappointment and relief. He shook his head. I've said before that you have the ability to view everything from the perspective of the Hokage. You do have that capability, but don't burden yourself with so much pressure. I trust you. There's no one else here. You don't need to hold back. Now, tell me your true thoughts. Although the Hyuga clan has always harbored ill will towards the other ninja clans of Konoha regarding this matter, it was a frame-up. Itachi slowly lifted his head. Since he had informed Konoha's high command of the Hyuga clan's conspiracy, Itachi had acted as a double agent, gathering intelligence from within the Hyuga clan. Only he could provide the most accurate answer regarding whether the Uchiha killed Takezawa Minoru. I think so too. Even in the tense situation between Konoha and the Uchiha, someone is fanning the flames from behind. The third Hokage put down his pipe and sighed. Eliminating the possibility that the Uchiha killed Takezawa Minoru was undoubtedly a relief. It meant that the Uchiha clan hadn't reached the point of no return, and there was still a chance for peace between Konoha and the Uchiha. However, it also meant the culprit behind the incidents involving the Hyuga branch families hadn't been found. The killer of Takezawa Minoru was still lurking, trying to ignite the powder keg between Konoha and the Uchiha. Even with his deep strategic mind, the third Hokage was annoyed by the chaotic situation. If he hadn't known that Hayashi Hyuga planned to hold a clan meeting next week to discuss countermeasures, he would have dragged Hayashi over to reprimand him. What kind of clan leader are you, Hayashi? Are the Hyuga branch members not people? So many incidents and you did nothing. Who do you think the killer might be? The third Hokage asked. Itachi glanced at him, then silently lowered his head. Is it Hyuga Neji again? The third Hokage caught on, then shook his head slightly. Itachi had previously submitted a report identifying Neji as the prime suspect in the murders of Hyuga Takuma and other branch family members. If Takezawa Minoru wasn't killed for stumbling upon the Uchiha conspiracy, it must have been while investigating the Hyuga branch cases. Did Takezawa Minoru find some crucial evidence? Reasons. The office was quiet for a long time. There were no reasons. It was just a continuation of previous suspicions. The third Hokage took a light puff from his pipe, not showing his disappointment. Itachi was now fully committed to monitoring the Uchiha, having no further interaction with Neji, and naturally couldn't offer any speculation. The third didn't pursue this topic further, and returned to the main issue. So, is there still a chance to mend the rift between Konoha and the Uchiha? Can it still be mended? Itachi closed his eyes. The situation seemed unchanged, whether with Shisui 2 years ago or now. The Uchiha clan had rich emotional spirits, but this wasn't a blessing. Hatred was spreading, the Uchiha clan's ambition was growing, and the clansmen would shout about destroying Konoha over any slight. The accumulated resentment was like a volcano ready to erupt one day, destroying all of Konoha. Standing at the volcano's edge, Itachi could most clearly foresee the scene. Therefore, the answer he could give had never changed since 2 years ago. It probably cannot. No. After explaining to the Hokage why the Uchiha clan's rebellion had reached the point of no return, the elder, who had overseen Konoha for over a decade, remained silent for a long time. In the end, he made no statement and simply waved Itachi away. Although Itachi was highly pessimistic about the situation's future development, this wasn't the first time he had expressed such pessimism to the third Hokage. The Uchiha clan hadn't yet reached complete unification, and the situation didn't seem dire enough to make a decisive move. So in Saratoba's view, they could wait a little longer. Itachi returned to the Uchiha district in the afternoon. The Uchiha district was located in the northwest corner of Konoha. For the once most prominent ninja clan of Konoha, Being relocated from the village's core to such a remote corner was seen as a humiliation by most Uchiha. Exclusion from Konoha's high command wasn't limited to geographical marginalization. It also manifested in exclusion from the power structure. The Hyuga Clan, once one of Konoha's founders, had been reduced to having seats only in the Konoha police force. They were shut out of the decision-making circle, and even the Ambu, which accepted all sorts of people, quietly rejected many Uchiha applications. In recent years, only a few like Itachi and Shisui passed the exams and integrate. Isolation was comprehensive. That feeling of being inexplicably distanced from everyone, surrounded by hostile gazes, was pushing most Uchiha into a state of agitation and frenzy. Walking through the Uchiha district, Itachi could sense this boiling kettle-like tension, growing more intense. "Hey Itachi." Uchiha Inabi and others blocked Itachi's path, asking coldly, "Where were you today?" Itachi calmly looked at them. These people were blinded by hatred and couldn't see the road ahead. Shaking his head, he walked around them and continued forward. "Did you go to snitch?" "Hey, I'm talking to you." When he got home, he didn't see his father but found his 7-year-old brother Sasuke running over when he heard the door open, clinging to his leg. "Brother, I got an A in Today's Ninja Academy test," Sasuke said, excitedly showing him the paper. "You promised to play with me if I got an A." Itachi smiled, placing his index and middle fingers on Sasuke's forehead. The boy fell to the ground with an "Oh. Next time, I promise." He turned and left Sasuke at the entrance, holding his forehead, pouting in frustration. "You always say next time." Itachi. Using some small tricks, Itachi learned from Inabi about the secret gathering place of the clansmen. When he arrived, Uchiha Fugaku was speaking, and his position allowed him to eavesdrop clearly. When the Hyuga clan holds their clan meeting, Konoha will lack Byakugan surveillance, making it a perfect time to launch an attack. Itachi's mouth opened slightly. Then he clenched his fist. So, is there still a chance to mend the rift between Konoha and the Uchiha? No, too. The volcano has decided to erupt. Neji received the news that the Hyuga clan had finally decided to initiate their rebellion from the compiled surveillance data. At 1920, Uchiha, Shin, and Uchiha Tetsu armed themselves and went together to the Konoha public training ground. A very ordinary piece of information, right? What could two Uchiha ninjas going to a public training ground prove? Yes, it seemed ordinary, but if compared with previous data and cross-analyzed, it was pretty telling one. Two previously known drunkards were preparing to retrain, indicating they felt some pressure. The Konoha public training ground was significantly worse than the Uchiha's internal training grounds, meaning their internal facilities were overcrowded. They were sharpening their blades for a single strike. There were many other corroborating pieces of data, such as the Konoha police force suddenly changing shifts early, or the sudden increase of Uchiha patients in Konoha Hospital. For Neji, who had already anticipated the Uchiha clan's imminent rebellion, these sudden changes allowed him to deduce the exact start time. The Uchiha clan members were far from foolish. They knew not to reveal their plans openly, but the emotionally rich Uchiha couldn't wholly control their sincere emotions, bringing them to this point. These small, seemingly insignificant daily life clues were not considered abnormal by them. They hadn't realized Konoha's surveillance had reached such a frenzied level. Hinata continued mechanically transporting recorded data from various team members. Noticing Neji suddenly stop working, she checked the clock. "Isn't it time for a shift change yet?" "It's already over." "What?" "Oh. Well, I have something to do today, so I'm leaving early." With that, Neji left straight away. "Captain, if you're caught leaving early, you'll have your pay docked." Hinata shouted, but Neji's only response was to raise his hand as he walked away. "Don't take money lightly." Hinata sighed. She looked around to ensure no one else was there, then used a shadow clone jutsu. Her clone transformed into Neji, sat at his desk and began pretending to work. Neji didn't plan to inform Danzo of his findings. With Itachi as a double agent within the Uchiha clan, their plans were already an open book to Konoha's high command. There was no need to show off. At the entrance of the Hyuga branch compound, have any Uchiha clan members been here recently? Neji asked the Chunin guarding the entrance, which had been established after the frequent murders of branch members to enhance the compound's imposing presence. Yes, they asked when our clan meeting was scheduled. As expected, such a blatant bait couldn't go unnoticed by the Uchiha clan. The clan meeting was scheduled for 4 days later, meaning the Uchiha clan's rebellion would be in 4 days. According to the original storyline, Itachi would launch the massacre the night before the uprising in 3 days. With all the information, the loop was complete. Back home, Neji cooked for the 2 kids. Such a feast, Neji said, looking at the table full of delicious food. Is today a holiday or something? He noticed Neji seemed unusually excited, unlike his usual calm demeanor. Did something good happen? Neji observed quietly. Well, his brother was of age, handsome, strong, about to be promoted to jonin, had a bright future, despite being an orphan, and had an excellent brother like himself. Which girl wouldn't be moved? Wham! Wham! Neji knocked on Neji's head with chopsticks. What was that for? He protested. Your eyes look strange, Neji said, hitting his brother without needing a valid reason. After serving the last dish, Neji explained, this is enough for 3 days. That made sense. Neji realized, so you're going on a mission again. Hanabi wasn't interested in the feast, but was sad that Neji would be gone for a long time. She looked at Neji with longing eyes. It'll take you next time, Neji said casually. Neji chuckled, interpreting it as one of his brother's next time promises to appease children. You need to get stronger to follow him, understand? Neji advised Hanabi. He had been teaching her gentle fist at home recently, and was astonished by her talent. The younger Hyuga girl was indeed a bit more talented than himself. Understood, Hanabi shouted. Ain't true. In the Hokage's office, the third Hokage looked at the information Itachi had delivered, his expression complicated. He recalled the argument with Danzo and the others that day. How long had it been since then? In hindsight, his persistence seemed like a joke. Ambition and hatred had ultimately consumed the entire Uchiha clan. The restraint he had hoped for never materialized. The clan had betrayed his trust and taken that final step. Lighting his pipe, the third Hokage stood by the window, looking in the distance towards the Uchiha clan's territory. Their lights shone brightly in the darkness, like sparks on dry grass ready to spread across Konoha. At Root's headquarters, Danzo looked at Uchiha Itachi with a cruel smile. Is what you say true? The information is accurate. The Uchiha will launch their rebellion in 4 days during the Hyuga clan's meeting, Itachi said calmly. An excellent choice of timing, Danzo commented. The Hyuga clan's Byakugan was a significant threat to any surprise attack. He glanced at Itachi. It's a pity. Fugaku ultimately lacks the brains.